There we go. Good afternoon, Father Joe. How are you today?
Good. Normally I hold up a cup of Joe coffee, but our downtown thermometer says it's 95 degrees. So I'm drinking a glass of ice water. Okay.
Wow. Wow. Well, what water is life, and it's part of coffee. So, yeah, we'll have to wait to come back to coffee cups till the middle of a Wisconsin winter. So, been too long since we chatted last time, and
Yes.
I'd appreciate it if you tell me a little bit. I understand you're a member of Progressive Peace, Progressive. We're part of a Progressive Peace. You're a part of Progressive Priest organization. Tell us a little bit about what that is and why it's important in your life.
Okay. If anybody really pays attention, they're going to understand that there is a kind of a conservative uh, mood passing through the Catholic Church, while at the same time we have a very progressive Pope.
Mhm.
And so, in the spirit of reform and progressive thinking in theology and church matters, there is a group of priests. It's got a terrible name, AUSCP, Association of United States Catholic Priests.
Ah,
And it was started about 10 years ago. And their goal is to really think ahead of time in the spirit of the Vatican II, which really was a progressive pastoral uh, uh, council. And so our Pope Francis, with his vision, he said we have to keep that spirit alive. So he called for a worldwide synod, SYNOD, and and that's 3 years. 3 years. We got another year to go yet, and it's calling everybody together. But the AUSCP organization is way ahead of the game. So they had recently had a major conference in San Diego, and I was fortunate, the only priest from the Green Bay Diocese to attend. There
mm.
aren't many progressive priests here in our Green Bay Diocese, and I'm known as Heretic Joe, or uh, anyway, I have nicknames for being so progressive. That's okay. I can handle it. Anyway, I went, and it was a powerful conference on the subject of synodality. So there were about 200 priests there,
Oh,
no young priests.
mm.
uh, I met one young priest. Basically, the young priests are all on the conservative side. It's kind of a really interesting issue. But we were there, and the keynote speakers were outstanding. Uh, and our subject was synodality. Now, so get us into that. The word synod has different definitions. One of its broad uh, meanings is it's listening,
Mm.
and so a synod calls all the people together to listen to each other. That's the key. One of the best images for this synodality comes from, of all people, the prophet Isaiah,
Ah,
who draws a picture of a big tent, and he says, everybody is welcome under the tent.
yeah.
Well, that's our theme, and so now, so when you look at, so we have to listen to everybody, the church. I'm talking about the bishops, the church, the Pope, the Holy Spirit. We have to listen to everybody. Well, okay, let's name a few. LBTGB community, the indigenous people, people of color, the poor, women. Those are all areas that have
Mm.
been neglected over the years by the Roman Catholic Church. And now the Pope and the spirit of Synod is to say we have to listen to all of them, to their real cares and concerns, and they are all welcome. Now, I'm sad to say that it appears that the American bishops are really not on board with this. And not to be offensive to our bishops, I'm very respectful of our bishops, but in a way, this is for your reflection. The Roman Catholic Church is not so much a community as it is an institution, well organized from top down, and to be very blunt about it, there's got to be systematic. There's got to be. I use the word control. The bishops want control. Well, when you give freedom to LGBT, to women, to the poor, it's harder to control. So that's not an indictment against our bishops, God forbid. But I think that's lurking in the background. And they're a little bit afraid, and so they're not really totally on board as leaders in the synodality. So a group like ours, the AUSCP, is taking a leadership role, and much has been written. And there are a couple of bishops who are really on the forefront of promoting this call to listening to one another, highly organized, and we're not quite sure where it's all going to end up. And so our Pope is getting a lot of pushback from certain areas in the church, but we're moving forward, and I'm so happy that I was lucky to be at that Synodality conference in San Diego with one of our most progressive bishops. I'm talking about Cardinal Robert McElroy. He's the Archbishop Cardinal of San Diego, and he's very forward-looking. He has a lot of enemies because he's so progressive. So, you have any questions, Bob?
I do. So when you say broadly, the word also is defined as listening. And so the question is listening about all those marginalized groups. And well, I wouldn't say women are a minority. Women are a majority in population. They're just a minority in power. And excuse me. So is this 3-year process include hearing from those marginalized groups? Does it hear from lay people or lay people's organizations that are a part of the conversation?
Well, they know that they are invited by none other than our Pope. And so they are coming forward with some brilliant offerings.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they are being listened to more and more. And I'm very confident. This is really a good thing. I've met bishops who said, "What a synodality! Let's get it over with." And that kind of it's kind of scandalizing to me and shocking, because our Pope has called us to capture that spirit of the church moving forward and accepting every, because very frankly, the Catholic Church does not accept everybody. We have real strict regulations with regard to LGBT people. And let's face it, women, they don't have any major role in the church. And it's always by design. So we have to listen to them. And I think we're starting to turn the corner.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that perspective. In fact, we're going to wrap up today, but and next week we're going to get together and talk about the garden project at Casa Esther, since it's we're well into the summer and the tomatoes are growing. But I'd like to also come back in future weeks and talk more about the phrase that you use, the Catholic Church is not an institution, is an institution, is top down, is not a community. And how does Catholic worker, we can talk about this in a future Cup of Joe, how does the Catholic worker movement fit into that picture? Because obviously of those marginalized groups that you just talked about, Catholic workers and Catholic worker houses have more of a connection to those marginalized and underserved communities than the institution does. And so that seems like a more of a conversation for another day.
May I leave you one little provocative thought?
Yeah.
It would be Jesus had in mind a kingdom of people here on earth, a community, a loving family. And then Constantine changed it in the 3rd century, changed it into an institution. And so we've been struggling ever since, trying to catch that return to the ideal that Jesus held out for us.
Yeah, and there's so much more for us to talk about. You're right. I mean, Martin Luther King talked about the beloved community. And, his approach was one of a religious leader first. And so, there's space in that for both Catholic worker to be in that conversation and the Catholic Church as an institution. So, well, this has been wonderful. Thank you for catching up. We're glad you made it safely from little old Amro, Wisconsin, all the way out to the big city on the bottom left corner of our country, and had an opportunity to be a part of that progressive priest conversation about this. So important. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Yes, Bob, and blessings to all. Okay.
Thank you. May peace prevail on earth.
Thank you.